This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. If you're looking to position your next product launch for domination in your niche, and you're looking for insider information that nobody is talking about so that you can conquer page one on all the most relevant keywords, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share with us how to take advantage of the Amazon algorithm to identify the best categories we should sell in and the most important keyword we should use to make our next product launch a huge success. This is the second time we're joined by this guest. You can check out episode 13, where we discussed the most important metrics in product validation. I'm talking about Neil Tua. He's the founder and CEO of Voltage Digital Marketing. He has been launching, operating, and growing private label e-commerce businesses for the last 9 years. As of today, he and his clients have sold over $100 million in physical products, primarily through the Amazon FBA sales channel. Neil shares his blueprint for how to build an online business that can generate a passive six-figure income in just 12 months, while setting up the business for potentially millions in sales within 18 months. Hey, Neil, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Good. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, guys, you should know that Neil is one of my mentor. We have regularly calls to discuss, the important decisions of my business. And one thing he's really good at is he creates some sentences that are like mystical sentences, I call them, that can basically, explain very difficult concepts in an easy way. One of these sentences that I like, and which I think, it's what we could start with, because it will introduce, the topic and the process that we're going to discuss today, is this one. He used to say, Amazon is a river, but it is also a tree. Okay, so Neil, I'd like to start by letting people know, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, let's unpack that mystical sentence. I like how you said that. Well, obviously, we know Amazon, and it's a river in South America. But what most people and a lot of untrained sellers don't understand is it is a river of sales, too. It's a river of traffic. It's 197 plus million people a month who are, floating down this Amazon river of products and sales. But what they don't really understand, and it's okay that they don't per se until you start to get into the next level of topics, and then it will make more relevant sense as we go through this conversation, is that it is a big, giant filing system. It's a big filing system of products and data. And when you start to approach it as a data warehouse and you start to look at it in terms of a filing system, we understand filing systems have organization, top-down organization, could be alphabetical, could be linear. It depends on how you, want to organize that. And in the way Amazon has organized it through its departments and categories and subcategories and nodes, different products are fitting within each section of that grouping, that filing system. And what's important to understand about that is it simply turns itself into visible products or invisible products in the system. And a lot of sellers don't realize that when not positioning their products correctly for what we call maximum relevance of their product to the search to Amazon's filing system, the system doesn't discover them as easy as it could, and that can result in less sales. And so we're here to talk about sales. We talked previously about the profitability and importance of sales. As I think we continue this conversation, and we're going to make some assumptions, and I want to cover those real quick. We're going to assume that you have a product or are interested in launching a product. We're going to assume that product is profitable in the system, or that it's going to be profitable before you launch it. And we're going to assume that you have a listing that's brand registered and that has A+ content and has either been, again, created and is ready to go, or you maybe are already in the system, but you're not quite hitting the sales and conversion rates, what Amazon calls the unit session percentage. And you're looking for ways to maximize that, maximize the relevancy of those listings and products, and of course, gain more sales and ranking traction. So I want to set that precedence before we go today, that those are the criteria that we're going to assume you're in one of those two areas as you're listening to the rest of this call.
Okay, great. Sounds good. So definitely, yeah, we're not going to cover anything about listing optimization in terms of like title and keywords and so on.
We're going to make an assumption.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to make an assumption that you guys already have that in place, and we're going to cover something else. So let's start with this process of understanding, how to basically take advantage of the Amazon algorithm, and start to have this mindset shift of seeing Amazon as a database, right?
Yeah, as a database, it's just a giant filing engine. It's called a latent semantic search engine. You may have heard this phrase, seen it on a YouTube video, or somebody else mentioned it to you, or maybe you've never heard it, and this is the first time. It's referred to as the A9 engine. Now, some people have tried to say it's called the A10 engine, and that's fine. It's a little bit of semantics. Let's just understand the differences now. As we come up literally on my next month is now 10 years in selling in this platform. It's basically just the way the engine defines what it's doing. Now, the core engine from 10 years ago, the A9 engine, it's still the core engine running the business. That's why it's just become so powerful. And you don't change the power of what's working. We call that success is boring. So Amazon really hasn't changed the core, regardless of what anybody says. The core of that engine is still the same. The ranking and the methods are still the same. Now, Sentinels, bots, whatever you want to call them, have been upgraded into the A10, which is in essence checking for compliance and A+ content and questions and reviews and the review process. And there's a lot of different bots they've created for compliance reasons that are now running all around that core engine. But I want you to understand some fundamentals today about this. And some of these things, frankly, aren't even being understood by sellers in the system already. As you and I have discussed, they didn't understand these things, and you didn't initially understand them all. And now that you're starting to get it, it makes a lot more sense how we fit into the system, how we play with the engine correctly and give it what it wants, instead of basically fighting it and playing this cat and mouse game that so many people do. And then they try to manipulate that through reviews, rebates, coupons, outside traffic, and all this stuff, thinking they're going to positively infect the engine. And all they do is see temporary results with no long-term gain. They may see spikes in traffic and bumps. They'll get a little bit of a boost, and then when it stops or it falls off, it'll pancake. And they can't understand why it doesn't stick the listing into their keywords or stick their ranking or see organic growth. And that's all I'm really interested in, is that engine is rewarding you through an organic growth curve. And one of the ways it does that is a thing called the ITKs. It's short for item type keyword, and it's a part of their global taxonomy system. Okay, and that is a fancy word for the subsection of this whole A9 engine and this filing system. Okay, it's where Amazon places the product inside of that big system. And if you're going through the dashboard component, you're not going to identify what we call those super keywords. Now, a super keyword is in essence an ITK, an item type keyword, okay, that is most maximum relevance in the system to the product you're selling. So, for example, if you are selling, I'm going to use a really old, nasty example, a kitchen spatula, and you are not correctly aligned in the node within home and kitchen for kitchen spatulas, you're not going to maximize the relevance of that product and engine and your keywords and everything around the ecosystem of that ASIN number. And you're, in essence, not going to get into what I call Amazon's slipstream of traffic. Okay, because you're not in its maximum relevancy. You're not in its identification system of the filing. It's not seeing you as relevant to the other types. And there are a variety of nodes in the system that you can test for maximum relevancy of your product, your brand, your listing, and your keywords. There's a little bit of testing, and that does fall a little into the optimization, but not on the optimization of the front end per se, of your keywords and your listing keywords and search terms and titles and A+ content. It's a back-end kind of relevancy, a back-end optimization that is done through flat files. It's not done through the dashboard. It's not done through the web interface. It's actually done through flat file management, and that's why a lot of people don't understand how to get access to that. So let's talk about this browse tree real quick. It's literally this classification system. It's an entire catalog, as we refer to, the catalog of all these products, 600 million plus products. It's, again, departments, categories, subcategories, or what are called nodes or niches. which are the branches and the leaves. If you look at it on the tree of Amazon, okay. If you look at the trunk, that's going to be the component of the department. If you look at the major limbs, those are the categories. If you look at the minor limbs of the tree, that's going to be the subcategories. And if you look at those branches and leaves, again, that's going to be those niches and nodes. That's the area we like to play the most in, because that is ultimately what we refer to as the maximum relevancy position of a product within the system. And that is going to ensure that, again, your product matches with the maximum relevancy of the node in the system. So the algorithm is presenting it to the right people at the right time, who are looking for the most relevant keyword or most relevant search term for your product. And then it presents that product. If you're in the wrong node and you are still trying to address a target keyword for that, but it's not relevant to the ITK of that item type keyword, it simply won't show you at the top relevancy and maximum. You may end up on page 7 for that keyword. And you're like, why in the world can I not get to page 1? You're fighting the system. And a lot of untrained sellers don't understand that. Now, I just unpacked a lot of stuff in all that. So I want to pause for a minute and see if that doesn't drive any other topics or conversation with you before we keep going, right?
Yeah, sure. I love these insights. I think they're super valuable. And so basically what you're saying, people should understand the rules of the game first, right? So I love this because it's basics. It's going back to basics. We're not talking about like crazy, strange or new trendy marketing strategies.
It's fundamentals.
We need to understand the fundamentals first. So the fundamentals is to understand that Amazon is like a tree. They have departments, categories, subcategories, and then nodes. That's why we were referring to that mystical sentence as Amazon is a tree, because it has all these branches. Okay. Yep. And then the last piece of the branch is the node. And that's where our product is placed. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of to summarize everything. And so you mentioned that if Amazon, obviously, it's an engine that works with relevancy. So we want to have our product to be in the most relevant category and node. So my question for you would be how do we identify the best browse node to launch our next product into?
So there's a whole browse tree catalog that you can actually download for the department and area in which you want your product or your product would currently be. Or the product in which you're currently sending to market or looking at selling, you want to go in and get that browse tree. Now, there's a big one for each category section. I went ahead and helped you all out and provided a link here that you guys can get to download the whole encapsulated browse tree guide in one big download. So as you get that, what it basically is going to be is an Excel file that's going to show you all the relevant item type keywords to the browse nodes. And so your goal is then to go in and kind of identify as closely as you can the relevant item type keyword to the product that you're selling. So there is one layer of optimization that would occur once you identify that. And what I want you for a second here is to kind of visualize with me going to Amazon and putting in a keyword search for spatula. Okay. As you look at that spatula, and let's say that is the relevant item type keyword for your product. As you are now in that node, you now have an opportunity. I'm not going to say it's going to guarantee, but you're going to have an opportunity to rank into page 1 for that keyword. If you're going to target the keyword spatula, but you are not relevant for that item type keyword, there is not amount of force, traffic, effort, coupons, or rebates that are going to put you on page 1 for that keyword on any amount of time, and certainly not evergreen. You're going to see it rank up and you're going to see it pancake. And if you've ever experienced that as a seller, I'm overcoming that right now for you if you're paying attention to the details. This is something a new seller should learn right out of the gate so they don't experience that. And as we teach people to do this, they won't experience that because they are going to be in maximum relevancy and compliance. The other component about that piece is that you need an optimized listing. We made that assumption a minute ago that you've done a great listing and you have a great converting content and product. But once you get that into position, again, for that keyword in spatula, and we're now seeing that searched, if your product is on page 7, but you go in and switch your item type keywords to a relevancy of that keyword that is the circumference of your listing is around that item type keyword. So from your title to your bullet points to the product description and your backend, you now have a relevancy of that keyword flowing through your listing, tied to the item type keyword. You're now going to see something magical happen. And that is literally after updates. And within 15 minutes of that updating, we've seen existing listings with products and sales jump from like page 7 to page 2 in just 15 minutes. Why? Because the system suddenly saw and it checked. And in that 15 minutes, it's like, oh, hey, you're relevant, you're aligned, and then it will cause you to jump rankings. Okay. We've seen it even hit page 1. Now, in 3 to 5 days after that occurs, will you see the results of that reflected in any sales, traffic, page views, or increase in impressions on your listing? So this is where the itchy fingers of Amazon sellers have got to like slap yourself on the hand, tie your hands up and don't touch your listings after you make changes. Okay. This is a very important thing. Don't touch it for 3 to 5 days. Let the engine do its circulation, let it do its relevancy, let it do its churn. Don't resist all efforts to touch that. If it is a positive change, then you leave it alone. One change, 3 to 5 day period. Look at the results of that. Positive, leave it. Negative, put it back. So always track every little thing. And this includes changing ITKs. If you're going to change ITKs, once you have an opportunity to look at this. Positively changes and jumps can see a product that's doing 3 to 5 sales a day. While you're trying to push on it, it maybe just kind of averages that. Maybe you have some spikes because of coupons and rebates or other activities, but you've never been able to get it to stick or grow. We've seen them jump to 15 to 20 sales a day and then continue to grow organically from there. I've even seen them jump its high from 20 sales a day to 50 to 100 sales a day just by organizing and optimizing ITK through the listing into the relevancy and getting into that slipstream of Amazon traffic. This is something nobody talks about. Okay. They don't talk about the optimization or the relevancy factor of the engine. They're actually working against it. And I think it's mostly because many of the people who are coaching this don't actually know what the hell they're doing. They don't actually understand what is happening with that. And they're fighting the system because they don't understand how it works. And again, once you're in line with that engine, it will unlock the traffic, because the concept with a lot of folks listening to this is that there isn't enough traffic for my products, and there isn't product traffic, and my product isn't relevant, and my product won't sell because I'm not seeing traffic come to that product. And I'm debunking that today because that is not true. Okay. For every one of the 5 major categories on Amazon, there are tens to hundreds of thousands of units that can be moved a month in those. Okay. So it has to do with your alignment and relevancy versus your competitors' alignment and relevancy. If they've been there for a long time, they probably figured this out. That's why they're there. If you haven't figured that out, but you want to go play in that game, you better figure it out pretty quick or you're never going to win at it.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. Very cool stuff. So one of the things, let's unpack a little bit more about this ITK. So just to summarize, we're talking about item type keyword, which is basically the main keyword, the super keyword that it's related to each specific node. Okay.
That's right.
Right. So we started this episode by framing this to be like an opportunity for new product launches, but actually you are saying that the ITK or the node can be changed as well, right?
It can be changed for existing sellers, and it's something to be relevantly put together and aligned correctly as part of a listing optimization from the very beginning of a product launch that's going to market. Go to market with hyper relevant maximum brand relevance, as well as product relevance, as well as keyword relevance and marketing relevance, which will tie back to you basically dominating your competitors, because now your ads and your sponsored ads and brands, any marketing and efforts you do are now matching hyper relevancy to the listing, and the engine is going to reward you for that. Right now, you're not fighting with this system. People do a lot of product launches and wonder why they don't stick. They do a lot of giveaways or coupons and rebates, which I don't recommend, by the way, to see those products go out to market. But then they don't see the value of it. They don't see the growth, and they start to blame the system, or they say my product isn't good enough. And in actuality, it's not any of those things. Because I've seen products launch in the market, which I would consider to be relatively not great products, from average sellers who just got those steps right. Literally. Yeah. It wasn't that they had the better product or even the better brand. They just got those steps right.
Yeah, for sure. So let's tell people, like, what do they need to do to find the ITK or the nodes and the ITK for their existing products, and what they should do so first of all, to find that out, which one it is, because most people, I guess, are finding these out for their first time.
Yeah, probably. Yep. So it's going to be relative to the keywords. If you're already selling, let's talk about the 2 components. If you're new, let's set that aside for just a second, because that's going to be you basically going to the global browse tree guide that I'm giving you below, or downloading one from Amazon yourself and looking at the keyword that's most relevant to the product in which you see your competitors selling a product similar to yours, or a product that you're going to launch that's similar to your competitors. At that point, optimize your listing for that keyword, go to market with that keyword, go in that node, and ensure your listing is optimized for that item type keyword. In the second half of this, the second avatar of people who are listening, those who are selling already on Amazon, you're going to do a very similar thing, except you may not have a flat file of your product currently. You may have added it via the dashboard, or when you uploaded it, you may have done the flat file upload as part of this system, and you may not even understand what I'm saying with the flat file. And if you don't get that part, then whoever trained you or whatever you're doing, you need to get trained up on why the power of that flat file is there in order to ensure that your product matches correctly with that node. And if it's not in the system, you can't simply go into the dashboard and change it. You have to make that modification from the flat file. You have to wait to make sure within that 15 to 25 minute window that it does stick. And if it doesn't stick, then you got to contact the seller performance dashboard people and tell them, hey, can you please make sure that, you know, the flat file I just put in and the keyword is all aligned, and they'll double check the back end to make sure that it sticks. Okay? It's important to make sure, because sometimes it won't stick with the flat file. It'll show up in the system, but then they have to go make a quick change in the back end, and then it will stick. So there's a possibility that won't work. But once that's in place, then you wait 3 to 5 days as an existing seller and see if it was a positive change, is a positive and maximum relevance change. Now, I would encourage you to only make one change at a time. I said that a minute ago. I'm saying it again. It's an amateur mistake in business to make a bunch of changes and then try to see the reflect of that result, not knowing which change was positive or negative. So only make one change at a time. Be patient, okay? The rewards can be much greater. These are 2 millimeter shifts is all I'm talking about. As you hear me saying, I didn't change products. Didn't change directions. It didn't try a new brand at this moment. We didn't try to redo the entire listing and make big modifications. We're making 2 millimeter shifts, especially with existing sellers. Okay. The urge is to go in and make too many changes. The urge is that I want to make a bunch of changes because I want to see results quickly, but you're not really understanding the time it takes for that engine to see your relevancy against competitors that are already working, and for you to prove to Amazon that I'm the better product, I convert better, and I'm going to make Amazon more money. When you prove those things to Amazon, it will reward you, and the traffic will just go and it will take off really fast. So go to the item type keyword global browse tree guide that we gave you. Look at the keywords that you probably know as an existing seller are already selling for you, but are not necessarily ranking where you are, and then identify those top converting keywords, either because you've got brands running, you've got keywords that are converting, you've got sponsored ad campaigns that are telling you which keywords are converting. So look at those first, especially those that are converting the highest, and then go backwards, do your due diligence in the browse tree guide, determine if that keyword is within the line of the node for your product. And if not, you might need to optimize that. Okay, but just make that one switch and then watch and see what happens.
For sure. Okay, that's a great insight. So guys, remember that you can download this browse tree list. That is the full list of all the Amazon nodes. Basically, you can download that in the link that you will find in the YouTube description, or in the episode show notes at thesellerprocess.com. Just find this episode and you will see the link there. So the action point we have for you guys today is to go check out the browse node list and find, the most relevant node and ITK. The ITK is your basically super keyword. So if you are not using that super keyword in your listing throughout your listing in several places, you're missing out basically.
Yeah, you're missing a hyper relevant listing targeted to that super keyword and the buyer that's coming in. Okay. It's kind of a 3-step key combination lock to getting that Amazon slipstream of organic traffic coming to you instead of your competitors. Okay. It's literally unlocking the key codes and click. Once that clicks, all of a sudden the traffic shows up. It's like magic, but it's not. It literally is just a river of traffic that's running along, and you're not on the river in your canoe going down. You're still sitting on the side of the river watching everybody else float by. You're not even on that river yet. Get in the river. Right. And once you do, things take off really fast. It's always fun to watch.
Awesome. So just to close up, my last question for you is that how this knowledge of the ITKs and browse nodes. What can we do with that? Into how does that fit into our overall like product research?
Yeah,
strategy?
absolutely. So in essence, your concept is going to do something very different than maybe you have been trained or thought. And this is turning into a mini masterclass this morning. It is to build your brand around those ITKs. It's to build your product packaging and documentation around the ITK. It's to focus your product listings around the ITK. It's your keyword research and competition research around the ITK. Focus your advertising, PPC, sponsored ads, campaigns, keywords from YouTube, TikTok videos where you actually say the words that are matching with the ITK, or any other social media component of your marketing, and just optimize that all around that particular relevancy of that keyword within Amazon, and you will reach a hyper relevant system organization of your product in this filing system. And that is literally a combination of magic once you unlock how to do that. You build the whole ecosystem of your product around that, and you are now maximum relevancy, and that is very hyper relevant to the system, and it will reward you.
Fantastic. Okay, just one last thing I wanted to reiterate, because some people might not be familiar with flat files. So guys, go check out, in the add a product section, you will find, a part in Seller Central where you can download flat files based on your category. And in that flat file, which is basically an Excel sheet, you will find the ITK for your product. Okay,
that's right.
So that's just one little thing, for people who were not familiar with that. Cool. Yep. All right. So we got a very value-packed episode here today, Neil. Thank you again. So let people know how they can reach out if they would like to know more about you and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're just getting started, or you are a seller who wants to kind of understand a lot more about what I just said, and all the other components that might wrap around it, you're welcome to check me out. You can Google me. My last name is Twa. It's pretty short. You can reach me on social medias. You can go to voltagedm.com, check out a presentation, check out what we're doing. If we're maybe a good fit for each other, we might work together. Just understand it's an invite only. We don't work with everybody. We have a question and answer session. I want to make sure that you're a good fit. Your goals and objectives, align with the expectations of what we're doing. And if it makes sense, we might work together. I can't help everybody. I'm not trying to help everybody, but I am trying to get people to understand some of the core fundamentals today of what's going on, and then how to apply that into their business as a strategy and as an execution, both tactical as well. So that they might see the better results that I know are possible. And again, stop fighting with the system and in essence, give it what it wants. Stop playing the cat and mouse game. It's why I get very frustrated with people in the retail, online, arbitrage, wholesale, FBA, Amazon automation, drop shipping space. It's because they are literally playing a cat and mouse game in which they cannot win in this. And if you literally go back to Market Pulse and look at their 2021 updates, for e-com sellers, it goes across, direct to consumer, Amazon, and Shopify. You're going to find something very important to understand about private label and Amazon. It's where 66% on that research shows where all the money is made on Amazon. So if you really want to make money and you're going to get in Amazon, don't play the other games. Don't shortcut. Don't play the cat and mouse games. Learn how to do these fundamentals correctly, learn how to get in front of that traffic, and you will be rewarded. It will create less time and energy on the back end, and you'll see yourself getting in that traffic slipstream and organic results, predictability, profitability, and the game completely becomes a different one to play than everyone else is currently fighting.
Excellent. That's awesome tips. So thank you again, guys. Remember that the key to success is to emulate the best. So go implement the tips that Neil just shared. Go find your ITK and browse node and optimize your listing for that in order to make it hyper relevant to the Amazon algorithm. So guys, remember that you can download our resources at thesellerprocess.com or in the description in the YouTube video. I hope to see you again in the next episode. Neil, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, entrepreneurs. I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs that you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you. And leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.